Welcome back to another explainer. Okay, so I want you to picture something that literally all of us do every single day. You wake up, you stretch, you stumble over to your wardrobe, and you pick out what you're gonna wear, right? It's such an automatic routine that we kind of just do it. We rarely pause to think about it. But have you ever stopped to wonder why a divine text, like the Qur'an, actually dedicates several verses specifically to the concept of clothing? I mean, we're talking about a text meant to guide all of human existence, and it literally takes the time to discuss what we wear. That tells us there is something absolutely profound hiding right there in our closets.
So the crucial question we really need to ask ourselves right off the bat here is clothing just about fashion? Is it just this superficial cover for our bodies or, a way to fit in with the latest trends? Or does the Quran hint at a much deeper, divine message hidden in every single thread we put on? Honestly, if clothing wasn't deeply important to our human experience, it wouldn't be highlighted like this. And I promise you, by the end of this explainer, you might never look at your everyday clothes the exact same way again.
Section 1. The first human garment, Prophet Adam and Hawwa.
Let's travel all the way back to the dawn of humanity, because the first chapter in the story of clothing doesn't start in some modern textile mill, right? It actually begins in paradise with the very first humans, Prophet Adam and Hawwa. Now, they lived in this environment of unimaginable blessings, but after Shaitan deceived them and they ate from the forbidden tree, the source tells us their nakedness became apparent to them, and they began covering themselves with leaves from paradise. Just think about that instinct for a second. The absolute very first thing they tried to do was cover themselves up. This is a massive point. It shows us that modesty isn't just some man-made cultural invention that evolved over centuries. No way. It's actually a primal human instinct. It's literally hardwired into our nature. We were created with this instinctive, built-in sense of dignity and modesty.
Section 2. A divine shield, a gift from Allah.
Because right after that moment in paradise, clothing, or libas as it's profoundly called in the original Arabic source, became a direct divine gift. It basically acts as this essential physical armor for us. Just imagine our world for a second without clothes. It'd be impossible. We would have absolutely zero protection from the freezing cold, no shield against the blistering heat, and no defense against dust or harsh weather. And what's really fascinating here is how modern science totally backs up this ancient wisdom. We know today for a fact that clothing protects our skin from harmful UV radiation, it regulates our core body temperature, and it massively reduces our exposure to environmental pollutants. So science is perfectly confirming today what was described over 1,400 years ago as a profound blessing for our very survival and dignity. Pretty amazing, right?
Section 3. The garment of Taqwa, spiritual clothing. So we've talked about the physical necessity of fabric, the biological protection it offers us. But now, the source material introduces an entirely different dimension. It shifts us away from the physical threads of our jackets and into this deeply spiritual essence. The verse takes a highly surprising turn here. It acknowledges physical clothing, sure, but then it declares, but the clothing of taqwa, that is best. Think about the wording there for a second. How can faith itself actually function as a garment? Like, what does it actually mean to wear libasu taqwa, something that isn't made of cotton or wool at all, but made up of your own spiritual state?
Well, to really understand this, let's look at the definition provided by the companion Abdullah ibn Abbas. He explained that this clothing of taqwa refers directly to righteousness, to good deeds, and to the consciousness or fear of Allah. These invisible traits basically function as your ultimate spiritual garment, your true character, your honesty, your sincerity. These form the absolute most vital layer you could ever possibly wear. It protects your soul the exact same way a heavy winter coat protects your physical body from a freezing storm. It's your spiritual armor.
Section 4. The modern fashion challenge.
And man, this brings us squarely into the reality of our lives today. In our hyper-visual world, if you open literally any social media app, clothing has been turned into this relentless competitive race. The constant message is just wear more, buy more, show off more, stand out more. So we face this stark tension between physical and spiritual luxury. On one hand, we've got physical luxury, right? The expensive brands, the designer shoes, luxury watches, constantly trying to keep up with every single new trend. But on the other hand, we have spiritual luxury, honesty, humility, sincerity, good character. You could have a person absolutely dripping in physical luxury, wearing the most expensive, flashy outfit in the room, but if they completely lack character, their most important clothing is missing. They are spiritually naked. Meanwhile, someone wearing incredibly simple, everyday clothes, but who is rich in faith and sincerity, they're actually wearing the finest garments in the room. Now let's be super clear here, because honestly, it's pretty easy to misunderstand this point. The message here is absolutely not that we should all just dress in rags. The source explicitly highlights the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who said Allah is beautiful and loves beauty. So Islam absolutely does not oppose beauty. It doesn't oppose looking good, being neat, or having a nice sense of style. What it actually opposes is arrogance. It pushes back against the extravagance and the pride that so often creeps in when we obsess over our physical appearance while completely neglecting our inner selves. Looking good is perfectly fine. Losing your humility along the way is where the real problem starts.
Section 5. Your spiritual wardrobe. Islamic purpose.
So how do we practically align our modern, everyday clothing choices with this higher purpose? How do we build what we could call a spiritual wardrobe? Well, the sources outline a very clear and super practical checklist for us. First, a good garment covers the body appropriately and maintains modesty. It also needs to be clean and presentable because remember, loving beauty is a positive thing. It must be obtained through lawful means, no cutting corners, and crucially, it must never become a source of arrogance or a tool just for showing off. Because at the end of the day, in a world that is utterly obsessed with outward appearances, our true value is always measured by who we are on the inside.
Just think about the clothes you loved 5 years ago, or think about the styles that were all the rage a decade ago. They're gone, right? Every single trend fades away. Every shiny new brand eventually gets forgotten, usually replaced by the next big thing. Every fashion style eventually just disappears into the archives. But faith, modesty, good character, these indestructible threads, they never go out of style. The clothing of Taqwa is literally the only outfit that truly lasts forever.
So I want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, stretch, walk over to your wardrobe, and pick out your outfit for the day, don't just ask yourself, does this look good, or what will people think of me in this? Pause for just a second, look in the mirror, and ask yourself, am I also wearing the clothing of Taqwa? Thank you so much for joining me to explore this fascinating concept today, and I really hope it brings a much deeper, more profound meaning to your daily routine. See you in the next explainer.